We're going to do a short series of yin postures with the focus on opening the root chakra. That's your base chakra, has to do with feelings of stability and security, which I don't know about you guys, but it's been my personal experience and experience of a lot of friends right now that's a concern. Stability and security doesn't feel as steady, as foundational as it did a month or two ago. You know, there's a lot of change right now, just a lot of different things going on. The economy and finances and different job situations. So, in some energy readings and some other work that I've been doing, I keep finding this coming up that the root chakra is blocked. So I thought today we would do a few postures designed to open up that energy a little bit. So because it is the base chakra, the root chakra, we're going to start with malasana, which is a yogi squat. So you take your feet, wider than hip width for sure, and you're going to sink down between your heels. If you can bring the hands to the heart center with the knees, press the knees, the elbows press the knees away. You're going to feel that. You want to sit up nice and tall, so reaching up through your sternum. In this, for a lot of us, not so great. You might find your heels are really lifted. You could side a blanket. You can also use a block underneath your bum there for support. So we're getting the energy of the posture. You might not feel quite the same stretch as you would if you didn't have the block, but that's okay, because what we're looking at mainly today is an energetic practice. Just going to shift some energy around. So holding right here for a little bit. Yeah, it's anytime, you know, the idea with chakras is that you want the energy to flow freely through the body, and if any of the chakras are blocked, of course that creates some issues. But if your base chakra is blocked, then you want to address that first, right? That's safety and security. It is those basic things you think of, right? Food, shelter. But it also has to do with addressing your fears and your ability to feel like you can address your other fears in life. So root chakra first. We'll stay here just a little bit longer. I've been talking a lot, so let me give you a few breaths. Take another breath in. Yeah, let it go, and then go ahead. Bring yourself up to a forward fold, and just give yourself a couple of breaths here. You can let your hands hang, or you can catch opposite elbows, but we'll just let this energy move through. And then in just a moment, we're going to come onto our backs. So you can work your way onto your mat. We're going to start with Sukhasana, which is easy seat, just one leg in front of the other. So I'm going to take my right leg in front of my left leg. You can stay seated upright. I tend to take a more restorative approach to yin, so if you want to come all the way back to your back, you can hold Sukhasana from here. Eyes can close, maybe one hand to the heart, one to the tummy. And again, our focus is rooting energy, so feeling the ground, the earth, the mat beneath you, feeling the way the weight of the body sinks in on the exhale. Allowing yourself to feel whatever feelings come up. Not necessarily pushing away any anxiety or fears that you might have, but we're creating a space for them to exist within a more peaceful environment. You know, fear is actually a healthy emotion. Fear keeps us out of a lot of very troublesome situations, grizzly bears, things of that nature. It's our reaction to fear that's problematic, right? It's our reaction to fear. So, particularly if you're in a situation that's beyond your control. You can't control the circumstances. If you can learn to control your reaction to the circumstances. So we'll we'll stay here for a few more breaths. Just, if it's available, close your eyes and let's do 5 and a little deeper breaths in and out. So letting yourself really fill up and get empty. Fill and empty out. And then out. 2 more just like that. And then we're going to switch the legs out. So I'm going to take my left leg now in front of the right. And we'll hold this posture a little bit longer. I'm feeling it definitely in my hip, maybe a little bit in the groin as well. Seated, we typically will fold in this posture, and you'll feel it more in the hip that way. Well, we're looking for this grounding energy, so just feeling that. Coming back into your breath. If your chakra is blocked, it can show up in different ways. A lot of times it's like a lethargy and a lack of focus, but it can be the opposite of that too. It can be a real restlessness and agitation, which that tends to be more my way of being. We want the middle ground, we want the balanced place where there's not a lack of energy and not hyperactivity either. So being aware of how you're moving through your day. You might just need to take a few moments to ground down, so to speak. Honestly, it can be really helpful. Speaking for myself, just to take my shoes off and go walk outside in the backyard for a little bit. Literally feel the grass and the earth and get grounded in that sense. These postures, you don't have time to do all of them. Maybe you do 1 or 2. There are different scents that are related to clearing the root chakra, as well as colors. Red, right, a 4-leaf lotus. So any stones, precious stones, garnet's one, bloodstone's another. There's a lot of different ways, a lot of different energies you can bring into your life to help keep the chakras open and the energy flowing. 3 more breaths. And then let that go. We're going to move right into a supported bridge. So hopefully you have a block. I think a blanket could work here. If it was a sturdier, thicker blanket, would probably be the equivalent of a low block. Could also go medium. I would not go high for this one. We're going to extend the arms and legs. Ooh, so more hip flexor. But if you feel where you feel the energy of the pose landing, it's right there. The chakra is located at the base of the tailbone, which is just probably about where your block is sitting, maybe a tiny bit higher. But yeah, breathing into the space. So I think when it comes to obstacles, whether we're talking about chakras, and maybe you don't ever talk about chakras, and that's okay. But when it comes to obstacles, I think sometimes we try too hard to overcome. And I don't mean we shouldn't try, I just mean we think about it too hard, we plan too hard, we do more than we need to do to move past obstacles. It's amazing how many things will resolve themselves given a little time and a little less energy. But even those things that require our input and our effectiveness, if you can come and be, get more in the habit of becoming mindful when you're making decisions, mindful when you're reacting to a situation, when you're responding. Take your time. If there's one huge message I feel like I'm getting from this time that we're going through right now, it's just that. Like, life is very different when you don't have as much going on. You have the ability to do things differently. And I think that if we could really soak that in now and absorb that, we'd understand that even when things are the same as they were before, we still have that ability. but the hectic pace that a lot of us keep makes us feel like we don't. Go ahead and stay for a few more breaths, guys. So you can hold these. These are yen, so 1 to 5. I'm just taking you through them. I'm trying not to make this too terribly long. But yeah, obstacles, it's the simplest way through this. I think that's a great question to ask in any situation. What's the simplest way through this? Like, how can I not overcomplicate this? Just thinking about solutions can be so complicated, right? I don't know if any of you guys ever overthink, but boy, once you wander down that rabbit hole, you can really spend a lot of time there, because it's like each train of thought takes you to another tunnel, and another possibility and another option. What's the simplest way I can resolve this obstacle? All right, give yourself one more breath. Good. Release the block. Oh. And your tailbone to the ground. And then we'll go knees to chest. This is actually another root chakra grounding posture. But we're not going to hold it for too long. We're just going to rock it out a little bit. You can make some circles. But yeah, people ask me what my favorite posture is, and this is one of them right here. Knees to chest. I love the way it feels. And it probably is because it's a grounding pose that it's one of my favorites. I told you I do tend more towards restlessness and agitation. So anytime I come to a place that feels grounding, I'm going to be somewhat attracted or drawn to that. All right, one more breath here. And then I'm going to have you come up. Oh, and we're going to go over to child's pose, wide-legged. So take your knees wide and let your hips come back to your heels. It feels like I don't really need to explain that these postures are grounding. I think as you land in it, you can feel it with your body. We're spending a lot of time really close to the earth, making a lot of contact with the earth, and just allowing that energy to move in and through us. These aren't particularly strenuous stretches. These are, again, more of an energetic quality. And for some of you guys, that might be a challenge to slow down and to take some of these postures that are not, vinyasa strength, but rather yin and more of a softening. Just a few more breaths. Good, and then make your way up. You take frog pose, which is probably one of the more intense yin postures. You will likely want to double your mat over for a little padding for your knees, and you're going to come onto your knees. Take them wide. You're going to keep your ankles right underneath the knees. So I'm turning my feet out. That's where we get the name, right? They look like little frog legs. Turning my feet out, but keeping the ankles right underneath the knees. So I'm going to go as wide as I can, and then I'm going to come down to my forearms. And then I might find that I sink a little bit lower. And some of us will stay right here, and this is good. If you can come all the way to the floor, it's a little more relaxing. also take this pose at the wall. If any issues with the knees, that's a better way to go. It's actually very similar to how we came into it, but you'd have your bum at the wall and put your feet, just like we did, those frog legs with the knees bent, the ankles right under the knees and the feet turned out. And you'll let your knees fall out until you feel the stretch in your hips. One of these days, guys, wall yin, it's coming. Maybe this week. I just gave you guys a big talk about how these weren't very strenuous poses. This one, I mean, doesn't require a ton of strength, I don't think, but it can be really intense. As any of the deep hip opening postures are going to feel that way. So we'll just keep breathing with it. We'll stay just a little bit longer. I don't want to, again, take too much of your time. You're welcome to hold as long as you like. I find the best way to come out of this pose is forward to the belly. Whatever works for you, but if I just move my weight forward a little bit, then I can draw the legs back together and rock my way back up. Fix my mat up here. We're going to come back onto our backs for our last two postures in the sequence. That was pretty good. All right, so we're going to take a half happy baby. So extend your left leg. Bring your right knee into the chest. Just give it a squeeze. That feels so good. And then bend your right knee. You're either going to catch the ankle or the foot itself. And you're drawing the knee down towards the armpit or the outer edge of the mat. So this is our half happy baby. We'll hold this for a little bit, not for too long. A minute or so, probably. There's this downward, right? This grounding energy again. I hadn't done this particular sequence in a while. It feels really good. Maybe we'll move through all the chakras. Start with root and work our way up. Have just a short series of different stretches. I like that idea, especially if we could do shorter versions of yin classes. I feel like yin is a lot self-care. I mean, not that vinyasa isn't. Vinyasa is definitely more strength building. It's a different type of practice energetically for sure. I think both of them, they complement each other well. But people tend to, not everyone, but a lot of people are not drawn to yin. It's like too soft, for lack of a better way to describe it. Okay, guys, you're gonna take this right knee, take your left hand and draw it across the body, moving into a supine twist. Okay, you can kick your left hip under if you need to, so the hips are stacked. And then take your gaze over the right shoulder. But you have to have both. In yoga we call it sthira and sukha, right? Strength and softness for balance. Too strong and you'll break, right? Too soft, too flexible, and you can't support anything. So it's just right in the middle, always looking for that middle ground. So I'm working on these bite-sized classes, so maybe I can get some of you guys to try it. I'm going to do the same with the vinyasa. I was talking with a friend today about doing shorter. I had good feedback to the sun A's and sun B's. I can do some variations on that for sure. But maybe just kind of splitting the practice up a little bit so that if you want to get a quick 20 minutes in, you can pick which part of the body you're going to be focusing on. Self-care. It's a thing. Again, I won't hold too long. You guys can stay as long as you want. Give us another breath though, and then we'll come back through center. And we're just going to switch it out. So the right leg's extended. First left knee into the chest. Oh, feels good. And then bend the knee, catch the ankle. I like to grab the inside of the foot, and then I'm going to draw the knee down towards the outer edge of the mat. I'm not using a lot of strength here, but I am applying some pressure. Yeah, have happy babies, a little different feel, energetic. I think for me, definitely more grounding. I have a tendency in traditional happy baby to take this sway, the rock from side to side, which definitely has a less grounded feel to it than this direct drawing of the knee down towards the mat. It's interesting how the subtle, small variations can make a big difference. A friend and I were talking about communicating with people the other day. I was saying, you know, sometimes it feels like yoga. When you're first doing yoga, all you feel are the gross, they call gross, like the big expressions of the body. And then the longer you practice, the more you start to tune into the subtleties. So I feel like with communication, sometimes some people like never get past the gross. They'll pick up on the big emotions, they'll pick up on the big themes, but the subtleties seem to escape them. All right, we'll take that left knee in and across. So you can kick your right hip under. Oh, left arm reaches out to the side. You can look over that shoulder. Oh, and a few breaths right here. Yeah, this is the end of the practice with the exception of Shavasana. I'll just maybe give you a minute or two, and you can stay in Shavasana as long as you like. I was going to read a meditation at the end, so if when I call it and have you come back to seated, you don't want to, just continue with Shavasana. I'll read through the meditation, and you could stay all day if you want to. Self-care. It's a thing. It's a Sunday afternoon. It's a beautiful day, and I am thinking about laying in a hammock after this. I'm embracing the self-care with all my being today. I actually did a lot of chores earlier, so I feel pretty good about enjoying how lovely it is outside. I've been out a couple of times too. Balance, right? You gotta balance it out. Give it one more breath. Oh, and then come back to the middle. And really, any counter that you need here, if you need to pull the knees in, do that. I'm just gonna stretch head to toe. And then I'm gonna let my whole body relax. So feet fall out. Shoulders soft, belly soft, face soft, and just Shavasana for a couple of minutes. You can stay where you are. You can roll to one side. Either staying or making your way up to a seat. I'm going to read you a really quick meditation, and then we'll seal our practice. All right. This is entitled, Take Better Care of Yourself. It says, take better care of yourself than you ever have before. That's what your heart is telling you to do. These times of driving yourself, depriving yourself, not being gentle and loving with yourself will no longer work. Punishing, criticizing, repressing, and denying won't bring the feelings, the growth, the result you're seeking. The harder you push, the more you relentlessly demand perfection, the worse you'll feel. Fall in love with yourself. Be gentle, loving, kind, and attentive. Take time throughout each day to tend to your needs, just as you would tend to someone you love deeply and dearly. Loving and caring for yourself this way won't waste time. It's not a delay. Take better care of yourself, and life's magic will return. Your life will improve. You'll feel better too. Taking care of yourself is a simple act with profound consequences. The better and more often you take care of yourself, the more you'll align with universal love. I like that one. All right, you can bring your hands to your heart center. We'll take a deep breath in through the nose. Open the mouth and sigh that out. Thumbs can lift to forehead center. We'll take one more breath in together. And all together we'll say, Namaste. Thanks for joining me for a little yin. Tomorrow, perhaps some vinyasa.